This time on J-RodTV, we're going to be looking at the power numbers on this 85 C10, along with the dyno runs, and I'll give you all the details so you can build something similar if you want. Check it out. Well, you've seen part of the dyno run at Christian Automotive Machine in Corinth, Mississippi. So let's talk about it. Let me get set up here. So that engine came out of a 1976 Chevrolet pickup. It was like the Big 10 Chevy pickup. It was 4-bolt main 350. You saw that run, and you heard the open headers, running on the dyno and so forth. So let's kind of break it down, talk about it a little bit, and how we got to where we are. So I built the engine originally, and I talked about this in a previous video, and put a comp cam, hydraulic flat tappet cam in it, and the cam went down. And I'll show a picture up here showing how the cam went down really quick. And took the main caps off, and you can see some of the scarring from the metal that went through and all that. So it ran literally like maybe less than 50 miles, and ate the cam up, and that engine was done as far as it needed to come back apart. So when it came back apart, what I decided to do was to take it back to the place I used to work, which is Christian Automotive Machine in Corinth, Mississippi. Years ago, when I was in high school and college, I worked there, and so I took it back to them and said, "Hey guys, can you help me like put it back together and make it the way it needs to be?" Because I was really bummed about the way it all happened. So anyway, went back and we just checked everything and decided to go roller with it. And so just the specs on the engine, it's a stock block, stock rods, stock crank, that kind of stuff, just turned and machined and so forth. Did not deck the block. We left it just factory block, and went with the retrofit roller cam. It's a Melling 22-136, and the cam specs for the Melling 22-136, I've talked about this before. The duration at 50 is 215 at intake and 230 exhaust. The advertised duration on that cam is 284 intake and 310 exhaust at 110 degree lobe separation. The lift is 470 intake and 480 exhaust, and so that was the cam that chose to put in there. I had bought, when I put the engine together originally, I had bought Brodix IK180 heads, and there'll be a picture up here showing the engine before I redid it. And so got those heads on there, the aluminum Brodix heads. And when I measured the piston depth, flat top, hypertenectic pistons, the compression ratio with the Felpro head gasket. Now, I was very specific. I looked at all the different head gaskets, and I said, I want this head gasket so that I'd have the highest compression without using like a shim gasket. I wanted to make sure I had a good seal, especially since the block was decked, and or the block was not decked, that is. Since I did not deck the block, I wanted it to be a good gasket, and so the Felpro 7733 PT2. That's a 39 thousandths compression thickness head gasket, and that brought the compression to 9 1/4, just a touch over 9 1/4 to 1. And so that allowed for pump gas, 91 octane type gas. The bore on that was 30 over on the 350 block. So so just 30 over makes it a 355. I had them hone it with a torque plate so that, you know, it would wear in a lot quicker and just be a lot smoother. I did go with the Performer RPM Brodix intake. It's not the air gap one, but it's the Performer RPM Brodix intake. It's got the roller tip rockers on it. I didn't go full roller rockers. I just couldn't afford it at the time. It's got a 600 Holley vacuum secondary on it with electric choke and stuff. That's plenty of carburetor for it. And when we ran it on the dyno, we ran about 7 different runs, did several different sweeps, and doing some timing on, you know, how quickly the vacuum secondary opens up, that kind of stuff. And we ended up at 36 degrees timing, 36, 37 degrees of total timing there. And it produced pretty good. On the run you just saw that that was just before this, it ran just under 350 horse. I think it was like 347, and I don't remember what the torque numbers were. You could actually pause the video and see it if you want to. I didn't record all of the sweeps. The next one that I'll put in the video will be the highest sweep that I got recorded, and that was like 351 horse. And we kept tweaking at it, kept playing with it, moving up, bumping up timing, that kind of stuff. And so the overall numbers, once we got done, it was in our 7th sweep. We you know, ran it 7 times. And so the top horsepower was 359 horsepower at 5,500 RPM, and the total torque was 375 foot-pounds of torque at 3,500 RPM. And so that was on the 7th sweep. Just going back, and I was looking at the numbers, the top 2 sweeps that we did was our number 2 sweep and our number 7 sweep. And let me just kind of see, the torque numbers really come in. You get over 300. You know, I've got all these torque numbers. I know you probably can't read them, but it really started coming in about 3,000 RPM. Our 2,500 RPM, excuse me. We were at 330 foot-pounds of torque at 2,500, and it kept going up until you get to your number at 35, and then still holding it out there in that, you know, 370, 365, all the way up to like 4,500, and then the torque starts dropping off after that, but it still holds steady in that high 350s, and then finally it peaks over about 5,300 and heads below 350 foot-pounds of torque. So it really, you know, it really starts to bring that. As far as horsepower goes, like I said, the peak number was the 359. You know, really made a difference. So I think you could get a little bit more out of it. We could have gone on to 38 degrees of total timing, but we didn't push it. I think if I had a 1-inch spacer, that would make a difference. You might get a little bit more out of it. If it was the air gap intake, that probably would get a little bit, just those longer runners, that kind of thing. But you know what it made, I was pleased with. You know, it made good horsepower. It made good torque, and so I'm tickled with that. Those are the best numbers that I got out of it. So if you wanted to build one, if you wanted to build a 355, you know, 354 bolt main, stock bottom, you know, relatively inexpensive compared to, like, you know, putting a 383 together or something like that. I think you can, you know, you could do a bigger cam, but this cam, that 22 136, it pulls 15 pounds of vacuum. Like when I hook the vacuum gauge to it and tune it, and then you got your brakes, your vacuum modulator for your transmission, all of that kind of stuff. It pulls enough vacuum. Sounds pretty good. You heard that. You've heard it run on some of the other videos that I've done, that, you know, with full mufflers and all. But you know, I think as far as a driver, I've driven this thing over 1,000 miles. I've taken trips, you know, that are 2.5 hour, you know, drives one way and then drive it home. It's been no problems at all, no real issues. And so I'm tickled with it. You know, to make 360 horse, 375 torque on a mild engine like this for reasonable money. You know, the heads are about $1,200 or something like that. Cam's decent. So if you have ability to put that together, you could put this exact same engine together with that same head gasket and probably get very similar numbers. And you could probably get a little more if you had a, you know, a bigger cam, or not too much larger, but you know, with use the air gap intake, that kind of stuff. So I'm going to show you another run or two on the dyno, and show you some pictures and stuff that I had put in there. And if you have any questions, by all means, check it out. You know, see what you think. Tell me what you think. If you think of that I ought to have done something different, if you think that is pretty good, let me know. I like some feedback. And if you can, check out some of the other videos. I'd really appreciate it.